Doyan helped Lyra to her feet. She was weak from using her power, barely able to stand. He wrapped her arm around his shoulder and guided her across the ruined apartment. "The device," he said, picking up the silver object from the floor. "You said the hunters can track you. How do they do it?" Lyra pointed to a spot just below her left ear. "There's a small device implanted in my skin. They put it there when I was a child. It sends out a signal that they can follow anywhere in the galaxy." Diane examined the silver device in his hands. During his days of research, he had learned something important about it. The device did not just create portals. It also controlled energy fields. His grandfather's notes had mentioned this, though he had not understood it at the time. "What if we destroy the tracker?" he asked. "Would they still be able to find you?" Lyra shook her head. "No. Without the tracker, I would be invisible to them. But the tracker is protected by a shield that cannot be broken by normal means. I have tried many times. What about abnormal means?" Diane held up the silver device. The holographic symbols appeared, floating in the air. He had spent the past few days learning how to read them, matching them to the notes in his grandfather's journal. He still did not understand most of it, but he understood enough. "This device creates portals by manipulating energy fields," he said. "If I can tune it to the right frequency, maybe I can use it to break the shield around your tracker." Lyra's eyes widened. That might actually work, but it is dangerous. If the frequency is wrong, it could kill me instead. Then I will make sure it is right." They did not have much time. Outside, the hunters were beginning to stir. Their armor was damaged, but they were far from defeated. In a few minutes, they would recover and come after them again. Doyan worked quickly. His fingers moved across the holographic interface, adjusting settings, changing parameters. He thought about everything his grandfather had written. The old man had believed in visitors from the stars. He had spent his whole life studying signals from space. And somehow, impossibly, he had built a device that could communicate with them. "Grandfather," Doyan whispered, "I hope you are watching." He found the frequency control and began making adjustments. The device hummed in his hands, the glow growing brighter and brighter. Lyra stood beside him, her eyes fixed on his face. "You trust your own abilities that much?" she asked. "No," Doyan admitted. "I trust my grandfather, and I trust you." He finished the adjustments and held the device up to Lyra's neck, just below her ear. His hand was shaking. One mistake, and he could kill her. One wrong calculation and everything would be over. But he did not hesitate. "Are you ready?" he asked. Lyra nodded. "Do it." Doyan pressed the activation button. A beam of blue light shot out from the device, focused directly on the spot where the tracker was hidden. Lyra gasped in pain. Her body went rigid. For a terrible moment, Doyan thought he had made a mistake. He thought he had killed her dot. Then there was a small popping sound, like a tiny explosion. Something fell from Lyra's neck and clattered to the floor. It was a tiny black device, no bigger than a grain of rice. Now smoking and destroyed, Lyra collapsed against Doyan, breathing hard. But she was alive. She was smiling. "It worked," she said. "I can feel it. The connection is gone. They cannot track me anymore." Doyan felt a wave of relief wash over him. But they were not safe yet. Outside, the hunters had fully recovered. They were standing in the street, looking up at the hole in the wall. Their black eyes were filled with anger. "We need to go," Doyan said. "Now," but Lyra shook her head. "No, I am tired of running. I have been running my whole life, and I am done." She stepped toward the hole in the wall, her body straightening. The violet glow was returning to her eyes. "Lyra, wait," Doyan started. But she did not wait. She jumped through the hole and landed in the street below, facing the hunters. The two giants looked at her with surprise. Then one of them laughed. "So the little prey wants to fight," he said. Very well. We will enjoy breaking you. They raised their weapons and fired. Twin beams of green energy shot toward Lyra, fast enough to kill any normal creature. But Lyra was not normal. She raised her hands, and the beings stopped in midair, caught by an invisible force. Then she pushed, and the beams reversed direction, hitting the hunters' own weapons. The weapons exploded in their hands. The hunters roared with pain and rage. They charged at Lyra with their bare hands, moving with impossible speed. Lyra met them without fear. Her body moved like water, dodging their attacks, striking back with waves of energy. For every blow they threw, she answered with 10 of her own. She was smaller than them, weaker than them, but she had something they did not have. She had a reason to fight. She had someone worth protecting. The battle lasted only a few minutes, but it felt like hours. In the end, the hunters lay defeated on the ground, their armor shattered, their bodies broken. They were not dead, but they would not be getting up anytime soon. Lyra stood over them, breathing hard. Then she spoke in a language Doyon did not understand. Her words echoed with power. One of the hunters opened his black eyes and looked at her. What did you do to us? He asked. I removed your connection to the Void Seekers, Lyra said. Your masters can no longer sense you. You are invisible to them now, just like me. You are free. The hunter's eyes widened. For the first time, Doyon saw something like fear in those black depths, but also something else, something like hope. Why? The hunter asked. Why would you free us? Lyra looked back at Dayan, who had climbed down from the ruined apartment and was walking toward her. She smiled. Because someone showed me that kindness is more powerful than cruelty, she said. Go, start a new life. And remember this moment. Remember that a human and an alien chose mercy when they could have chosen revenge. The hunters stared at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, painfully, they got to their feet and walked away. They did not look back. Doyen reached Lyra's side. She turned to face him, her violet eyes filled with emotions he could not name. It is over, she said. The tracker is destroyed. The hunters are gone. I am finally free. What will you do now? Doyun asked. Will you go back to your home planet? Lyra was quiet for a moment. She looked up at the sky, at the stars that were beginning to appear as night fell. I have been running for so long, she said softly. I have visited hundreds of worlds, met thousands of species, but I never found a place where I belonged. I never found a place where I felt safe. She looked back at Doyen. Until now. Doyen's heart began to beat faster. What are you saying? Lyra took his hand in hers. Her skin was cool and smooth, but her grip was warm. I am saying that I want to stay, she said. Not as a refugee, not as someone hiding from danger, but as someone who chooses to be here. With you. She smiled, and it was the most beautiful thing Doyen had ever seen. In all the galaxy, I have never met a species like humans. You are weak and fragile, and your lives are so short. But you have something that no other species has. You have fire in your hearts. You love with a passion that burns brighter than any star. You fight for what you believe in, even when you have no chance of winning. You show kindness to strangers for no reason at all. She squeezed his hand. You showed kindness to me, a scared girl who fell through a portal into your room. You could have turned me away. You could have handed me to the hunters, but you did not. You protected me. You fought for me. You nearly died for me. Tears were falling from her violet eyes now, silver drops that sparkled in the starlight. That is humanity's fire, she said, and it is the most precious thing in the universe. Diane did not know what to say, so he did not say anything. He simply pulled her into his arms and held her close. Above them, the stars shone bright and cold. Somewhere out there, across the vast emptiness of space, the galaxy continued on its endless way. Wars were fought. Empires rose and fell. Species were born and died. But in a small street in Seoul, on a tiny blue planet called Earth, two people from different worlds had found something rare and beautiful. They had found each other, and that was enough. 2 weeks had passed since Lyra arrived. The wound on her arm had healed completely, leaving only a thin white scar. She had learned to use chopsticks, to make instant noodles, and to watch Korean dramas on television. She still did not understand why the characters cried so much, but she found herself crying along with them anyway. Diane had fallen into a comfortable routine. He would wake up, make breakfast for two, go to his classes, and come home to find Lyra waiting for him. Sometimes she would have questions about human things she had seen on television. Sometimes she would just want to talk. Either way, he looked forward to coming home more than he ever had before Dot. It was a peaceful time. But it could not last forever. One evening, Diane came home to find Lyra sitting in the corner of the room, her arms wrapped around her knees. She was shaking. Her face was pale, even paler than usual. "Lyra, what is wrong?" he asked, rushing to her side. She looked up at him with terrified eyes. "They found me," she whispered. "The hunters. They are here." Diane felt his blood turn cold. "What? How? How do you know?" Lyra touched the side of her head. "I can feel them. My people have a connection to energy fields. When the hunters are near, I can sense their presence. They are on this planet, Doyen. They are looking for me, and they will find me soon." Doyen's mind raced. He had known this might happen. Lyra had warned him about the hunters from the beginning. But somehow, he had hoped they would never come. He had hoped she would be safe here. "We need to hide," he said. "We can leave the city. Go somewhere remote. Maybe they will not find us there." But Lyra shook her head. "It will not work. They have technology that can track me anywhere on this planet. The only way they will stop looking is if..." She stopped, unable to continue. "If what?" Diane demanded. Lyra closed her eyes. "If I go with them. If I surrender." "No." The word came out of Diane's mouth before he could think. "No, I will not let that happen. Diane, you do not understand. The Void Seekers are dangerous. They have weapons that can destroy cities. They have killed entire populations just to capture a single target. If they come here, they will hurt you. They will hurt everyone around us. I cannot let that happen." Diane grabbed her shoulders and looked into her eyes. "Listen to me, Lyra. I am not going to let them take you. I do not care how powerful they are. I do not care what weapons they have. You are my friend, and I protect my friends. But you are just one human," Lyra said, her voice breaking. "What can you do against beings who have conquered star systems?" Diane did not have an answer for that. But he knew, deep in his heart, that he could not give up. He could not just let her go. "I will think of something," he said. "Just give me time." The next 2 days were the longest of Doyen's life. He barely slept. He barely ate. He spent every waking moment trying to find a solution. He went through his grandfather's notes, hoping to find something useful in the old man's research. He studied the silver device that had started everything, trying to understand how it worked. And then, on the third night, the hunters arrived. It happened without warning. One moment, Doyen was sitting at his desk, reading his grandfather's journal. The next moment, the wall of his apartment exploded inward. Doyen was thrown across the room by the blast. He hit the floor hard, his ears ringing, his vision blurred. Through the smoke and dust, he saw 2 figures stepping through the hole in the wall. They were tall, almost 3 meters high, with gray skin and black eyes that reflected no light. They wore armor that seemed to be made of darkness itself. In their hands, they carried weapons that glowed with a sickly green light. "Target located," one of them said in a deep, mechanical voice. "The female is here." Lyra was standing in the corner of the room, frozen with fear. Her violet eyes were wide, her body trembling. She looked like a small animal facing two giant predators. One of the hunters turned toward her. "You have caused us much trouble, little one. Our masters are not pleased. You will come with us now, or you will suffer." Doyan pushed himself up from the floor. His body ached. Blood was running down his face from a cut on his forehead. But he forced himself to stand. "Stay away from her," he said. The hunters turned to look at him. Their black eyes showed no emotion. "A human," one of them said. "A weak, fragile human. You dare to challenge us?" "Yes," Doyan said. His voice was shaking, but he did not back down. "I dare." The hunter laughed. It was an ugly sound, like metal scraping against metal. "Foolish creature. We have destroyed civilizations that were 1,000 times more advanced than yours. What can one human do against us?" Dayan did not answer. Instead, he reached behind him and grabbed the first thing his hand touched. It was a metal baseball bat, left over from his high school days. He held it up like a weapon. The hunters laughed again. Even Lara looked at him with disbelief. "Doyan, no," she said. "Please, just let me go. It is not worth dying for." But Doyan shook his head. "Everything worth living for is worth dying for," he said. "And you, Lyra, are worth living for." He charged at the nearest hunter with a scream. What happened next was exactly what everyone expected. The hunter moved faster than any creature Doyan had ever seen. A massive hand caught him by the throat and lifted him off the ground. The baseball bat fell from his grip and clattered to the floor. Doyan could not breathe. The hunter's grip was like iron. Black spots appeared at the edges of his vision. "Pathetic," the hunter said. "Humans are even weaker than I thought. I will crush you like an insect and then take the girl." But even as the life was being squeezed out of him, Doyan did not give up. He looked at Lyra, who was crying silver tears, and he smiled. "Run," he whispered. Then something unexpected happened. Lyra screamed. It was not a normal scream. It was a sound that seemed to come from everywhere at once, a vibration that shook the very air. The hunters stumbled backward, releasing Doyan. Their weapons fell from their hands. Lyra's eyes were glowing now, bright violet light pouring from them. Her hair was floating around her head, as if she was underwater. Energy crackled around her body like lightning. "You will not hurt him," she said, her voice echoing with power. "You will not hurt anyone ever again." She raised her hand, and a wave of pure energy exploded outward. It hit the hunters like a wall, sending them flying through the hole in the wall. They crashed into the building across the street and did not get up. Then the glow faded from Lyra's eyes. She collapsed to the ground, unconscious. Doyan crawled over to her, his throat burning from the hunter's grip. He gathered her in his arms and held her close. "Lyra," he whispered. "Lyra, wake up. Please wake up." Her eyes fluttered open. She looked up at him with a weak smile. "You tried to fight them," she said, "with a metal stick. You are either very brave or very stupid." "Maybe both," Doyan admitted. Lyra laughed softly. Then she reached up and touched his face. "No one has ever done that for me before," she said. "No one has ever been willing to die for me." "Then everyone else was a fool," Doyan said. Outside, sirens were beginning to sound. The neighbors were shouting. The hunters were still lying in the street, unconscious but probably not dead. They did not have much time. "Can you move?" Doyan asked. Lyra nodded weakly. "Yes, but the hunters will wake soon, and they will call for more. We need to stop them permanently." Doyan looked at the silver device, which had fallen from his desk during the fight. It was still intact, still glowing faintly. "I have an idea," he said. The first week with Lyra was strange. Very strange. Do-yeon quickly learned that living with an alien was not like anything he had imagined. The movies made it look easy. In the movies, aliens either wanted to destroy Earth or they adapted to human life right away. Lyra did neither. She simply did not understand anything about being human. On the first morning, Do-yeon woke up to find Lyra standing by the window, staring at the sun with wide eyes. "Your star," she said without turning around. "It is so small. And so warm." "We call it the sun," Do-yeon said, still half asleep. "Sun," Lyra repeated, tasting the word. "On my world, we have 3 stars. They are cold and blue. I have never felt warmth like this on my skin before." She stood there for a long time, just feeling the sunlight. There was something sad and beautiful about the way. She closed her eyes and let the light wash over her face. Later that morning, Do-yeon tried to make breakfast. He cooked some rice and fried some eggs, a simple meal he ate almost every day. When he placed the plate in front of Lyra, she looked at it with confusion. "What is this?" she asked. "Food. Breakfast. You eat it." Lyra poked the egg with her finger. "It is solid and hot. Yes, that is how cooked food works." She looked at him like he had said something crazy. "You burn your food? On purpose?" Do-yeon laughed. "We do not call it burning. We call it cooking. It makes the food safe to eat and gives it a better taste." Lyra picked up a small piece of egg and put it in her mouth. She chewed slowly, her expression changing from confusion to surprise to something like wonder. "This is good," she said. "Very good. On my world, we only eat food in its natural state, cold and raw. I did not know food could taste like this." She ate the entire plate in minutes, then asked for more. Do-yeon smiled. "I will teach you how to cook," he said. As the days passed, Do-yeon discovered more and more differences between their worlds. Lyra did not understand why humans slept lying down. On her planet, people slept standing up, their bodies supported by special chambers. The first time Do-yeon showed her his bed, she looked at it with fear. "You lie flat like this for hours?" she asked. "Like dead bodies?" "It is comfortable," Do-yeon insisted. "Try it." Lyra lay down on the bed with great care, as if she expected it to hurt her. But after a few moments, her tense body began to relax. Her eyes grew heavy. She murmured. "This is very nice." She fell asleep in seconds and did not wake up for 12 hours. She also did not understand human clothing. On her world, clothes were made of living material that changed shape based on the wearer's needs. Earth clothes confused her completely. "Why does this have so many holes?" she asked, holding up a sweater. "Those are for your arms and your head. But what if I want to put my arms somewhere else?" "You cannot. The holes are fixed." Lyra shook her head. "Your species is very strange, Do-yeon." But the thing that confused her most was kindness. On the 5th day, Lyra accidentally broke a glass while trying to drink water. The glass shattered on the floor, and water went everywhere. She immediately fell to her knees and began picking up the pieces, cutting her hand in the process. "I am sorry," she said quickly, fear in her voice. "I am so sorry. I will fix it. I will pay for it. Please do not punish me." Do-yeon was shocked. He rushed over and took her hand, which was now bleeding from several small cuts. "Lyra, stop," he said gently. "It is just a glass. It does not matter." She looked at him with wide eyes. "You are not angry?" "No. Why would I be angry? It was an accident. But I damaged your property. I made a mess. On my world, if a lower being damaged something belonging to a higher being, they would be." She stopped, unable to finish the sentence. Do-yeon felt a cold anger rising in his chest. Not at Lyra, but at whatever had happened to her before. What would happen to them, Lyra? She looked down at the floor. Pain, punishment, sometimes worse. Diane was silent for a moment. Then he spoke very clearly, very firmly. Listen to me, Lyra. I am not going to punish you. Not now, not ever. You are not a lower being. You are not below me. You are my guest. And more than that, you are a person. Do you understand? Lyra stared at him. Her violet eyes were filled with emotions he could not name. I do not understand, she admitted. In all my years of running, in all the worlds I have visited, I have never met anyone like you. Every species I have encountered has been cruel or selfish or both. They help only when they want something in return. But you ask for nothing. You give everything. Why? Diane thought about this question. It was a good question. Why did he help her? He did not know her. He did not owe her anything. By keeping her here, he was putting himself in danger from these hunters she talked about. I do not know, he said honestly. Maybe because it is the right thing to do. Maybe because I would want someone to help me if I was alone and scared. Or maybe, he smiled, maybe it is just how humans are. Lyra tilted her head. How humans are. We are not perfect, Doyen said. We fight each other. We hurt each other. We do terrible things. But we also love. We care. We help strangers for no reason. We give our lives for people we have never met. It is strange, I know. But that is what makes us human. Lyra was quiet for a long time after that. She let Diane clean and bandage her hand. She watched him sweep up the broken glass. She watched him get her a new glass of water and place it gently in her hands. Humans, she said softly, more to herself than to him. Such a strange species. Such a beautiful species. That night, for the first time since she arrived, Lyra slept without nightmares. In the days that followed, something changed between them. Lyra began to open up more. She told Doyen about her home planet, about the 3 blue suns and the crystal forests. She told him about her family, who had been taken by the hunters when she was young. She told him about the long years of running and hiding, always alone, always afraid. And Doyen listened. He did not judge her. He did not interrupt. He just listened. In return, he told her about Earth, about his grandfather who had believed in visitors from the stars, about his mother who worked 2 jobs to pay for his education, about his dreams of building technology that could help people. They were 2 beings from different worlds, separated by millions of stars. But somehow, in that small apartment in Seoul, they found something neither of them expected. They found a friend, and in the darkness of space, something else was happening. A ship was moving through the void, following a trail of energy that led to a small blue planet called Earth. The hunters had found the portal signal. They knew where Lyra was hiding. They were coming. The summer heat was terrible that year. Doyen wiped the sweat from his forehead as he climbed the narrow stairs to his grandfather's attic. The old man had passed away 3 months ago, and the family had finally decided to clean out his small house in the countryside. Doyen was 22 years old, a college student studying computer science in Seoul. He had not wanted to come here. The bus ride had taken 4 hours, and he had assignments waiting for him back home. But his mother had insisted. Your grandfather loved you the most, she had said. You should be the one to sort through his things. The attic was dark and dusty. Diane pulled a string hanging from the ceiling, and a weak yellow light flickered on. He looked around and sighed. There were boxes everywhere, old furniture covered with white sheets, stacks of books that smelled like time itself. His grandfather had been a strange man. He had worked as a radio engineer for the military many years ago, back when Korea was still recovering from war. After retirement, He had spent his days tinkering with old electronics in this very attic. The family had always thought he was a little crazy. He would talk about signals from space and visitors from other worlds. Everyone smiled politely and changed the subject. Doyen opened the first box. Inside, he found old photographs, letters written in faded ink, and medals from the military. He set these aside carefully. The second box contained broken radios and tangled wires. The third box was full of notebooks filled with equations he could not understand. He was about to give up when something caught his eye. In the corner of the attic, hidden behind a broken chair, there was a metal case. It was different from everything else. While the other items were old and rusted, this case looked almost new. It was made of a silver metal that reflected the weak light in strange ways. Diane walked over and knelt down beside it. There was no lock, just a simple latch. He opened it slowly. Inside, resting on black foam, was the strangest device he had ever seen. It was about the size of a large book, made of the same silver metal as the case. The surface was smooth, except for a circular panel in the center. When Daim touched it, the panel lit up with a soft blue glow. He pulled his hand back quickly, his heart beating fast. What was this thing? It did not look like any technology he had ever seen. It did not look like something from Earth at all. For a long moment, he just stared at it. Part of him wanted to close the case and walk away. But curiosity was stronger than fear. He reached out and touched the panel again. The blue glow grew brighter. Symbols appeared on the surface, floating in the air like holograms. They were not Korean characters. They were not any language Doyen recognized. They looked like something from a science fiction movie. His hands were shaking now. This was impossible. Holographic technology like this did not exist. At least, it was not supposed to exist. He noticed that the device was covered in a thin layer of dust. Without thinking, he picked it up and began to wipe it clean with his sleeve. The symbols shifted and changed as he moved it. Some of them pulsed with light, as if they were buttons waiting to be pressed. Doyen was so focused on cleaning the device that he did not notice his thumb sliding across one of the glowing symbols. There was a soft beep, and the device vibrated in his hands. He looked down and saw that one symbol was now glowing red instead of blue. Beside it, more holographic text appeared. He could not read the alien words, but below them, in small Korean letters, was a translation. Portal order confirmed. Delivery in progress. Diane blinked. Portal order? Delivery? What did that mean? The device began to hum. The humming grew louder and louder until the whole attic seemed to shake. The boxes rattled. The old furniture trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling like snow. Diane tried to turn off the device, but he did not know how. He pressed every symbol he could see, but nothing worked. The humming reached a peak, and then suddenly, everything went silent. The device shut down. The holographic symbols disappeared. The silver surface became dark and cold. Doyen sat there in the silence, breathing hard. His hands were still shaking. After a few minutes, when nothing else happened, he began to calm down. Maybe he had imagined it. Maybe the device was broken. Maybe it was just some strange toy his grandfather had built. He put the device back in its case and closed the latch. He decided not to tell anyone about it. They would think he was crazy, just like they had thought his grandfather was crazy. He finished cleaning the attic as quickly as he could. He packed the important items into boxes and loaded them into his car. The silver case he kept separate. He put it in the back seat, hidden under a blanket. The drive back to Seoul took 4 hours. Diane arrived at his small apartment just after midnight. He was exhausted. He carried the boxes inside, dumped them in the corner of his living room, and fell onto his bed without even changing his clothes. But he could not sleep. His mind kept going back to the device. Portal order confirmed. Delivery in progress. The words echoed in his head like a song he could not forget. Finally, around 2 in the morning, he got up and retrieved the silver case from his car. He brought it into his bedroom and set it on his desk. He opened it and looked at the device again. It was still dark. Still silent. Just a piece of strange metal sitting in a case. Doyen laughed at himself. He was being ridiculous. There was probably a simple explanation for everything. Maybe his grandfather had built this as a joke. Maybe it was a prop from an old movie. Maybe the holographic display was just some kind of projector trick. He closed the case and pushed it to the corner of his desk. Then he finally went to sleep. He did not know that far away, in a place beyond the stars, something had received his order. He did not know that across the vast emptiness of space, a signal was traveling toward a small blue planet called Earth. He did not know that his life was about to change forever. The portal order had been confirmed, and the delivery was on its way. 3 days passed after Doyen returned from his grandfather's house. He went back to his normal life. He attended his classes, worked on his assignments, and ate cheap noodles for dinner. The strange device sat forgotten on his desk, covered by textbooks and empty snack wrappers. On the 4th night, Doyen was playing a video game on his computer. It was almost midnight, and rain was falling heavily outside his window. The sound of thunder mixed with the explosions from his game speakers. Then something strange happened. The lights in his room flickered. His computer screen went black for a second, then came back on. Doyen frowned and looked around. Power problems were common in his old apartment building. But something felt different this time. The air in his room felt thick, heavy, like the moment before. A storm breaks. Behind him, he heard a soft humming sound. It was familiar. Too familiar. He turned around slowly and saw that the silver device on his desk was glowing. Blue light poured out from under the textbooks covering it. The humming grew louder. Doyen jumped up from his chair. He pushed the books aside and stared at the device. The holographic symbols had appeared again, spinning and dancing in the air. The same words flashed in Korean at the bottom. Portal order confirmed. Delivery arriving. Before he could react, a circle of light appeared in the center of his room. It started small, no bigger than a coin, but it grew rapidly. In seconds, it was as tall as a door. The light was so bright that Doyen had to shield his eyes. Wind rushed through his room, even though all the windows were closed. Papers flew everywhere. His posters were torn from the walls. The light pulsed once, twice, 3 times. Then something came through. A figure fell out of the portal and crashed onto his floor. The light disappeared instantly, and the room went dark, except for the soft glow of his computer screen. Doyen stood frozen, his back pressed against the wall. His heart was beating so fast he thought it might explode. On the floor of his bedroom, just 2 meters away, was a person. A girl. She was lying on her side, not moving. Her hair was long and silver, like moonlight turned into silk. Her skin was pale, almost white, with a faint shimmer that did not look human. She was wearing strange clothes made of a dark material that seemed to shift and change color when it caught the light. Most shocking of all were her ears. They were pointed, like the ears of an elf from a fantasy movie. Doyen could not move. He could not speak. He just stared at the impossible sight before him. Then the girl groaned. She was alive. Slowly, painfully, she pushed herself up onto her hands and knees. Her body was shaking. Doyen noticed that there was blood on her arm, dark red against her pale skin. She was injured. She looked up, and their eyes met. Her eyes were large and violet, like 2 pieces of amethyst. They were filled with fear and confusion and pain. When she saw Doyen, she flinched and tried to crawl away from him. "Please," she said. Her voice was weak, barely a whisper. "Please do not hurt me." She was speaking Korean. The words were broken and strange, with an accent Doyen had never heard before, but they were definitely Korean words. The sound of her voice broke the spell. Doyen's fear was replaced by concern. This girl, whatever she was hurt and scared. He could not just stand there and do nothing. "It is okay," he said, holding up his hands to show he meant no harm. "I am not going to hurt you. You are safe here." The girl stared at him with wide eyes. She did not seem to believe him. Her whole body was tense, ready to run or fight. Doyen moved slowly, carefully, like he was approaching a wounded animal. He knelt down on the floor, keeping some distance between them. "My name is Doyen," he said gently. "What is your name?" For a long moment, she did not answer. Then, finally, she spoke. "Lyra," she said. "My name is Lyra." "Lyra," Doyen repeated. "That is a pretty name." "Lyra, you are bleeding. Can I help you?" She looked down at her arm, as if she had forgotten about the wound. The blood was still flowing, dripping onto his floor. "Yes," she said. "Please." Doyen got up and went to his bathroom. He grabbed his first aid kit, some towels, and a bottle of water. When he came back, Lyra had not moved. She was watching him with those violet eyes, studying his every move. He sat down near her and held out the supplies. "May I?" he asked, gesturing to her arm, thought she hesitated, then nodded slowly. Doyen cleaned the wound as gently as he could. It was a long cut, but not too deep. It looked like something had slashed her arm with a blade. He applied medicine and wrapped it with a bandage. "There," he said when he was finished. "It should heal in a few days." Lyra looked at her bandaged arm with wonder. Then she looked at Doyen with an expression he could not understand. "Why?" she asked. "Why what? Why are you helping me? You do not know me. You do not know what I am. Most beings in the galaxy would have killed me by now or handed me over to the hunters." Doyen was confused. "Hunters? What hunters? And what do you mean, beings in the galaxy?" Lyra's eyes grew sad. "I am not from your world," she said. "I come from a planet very far away. A place called Aria, in a star system your people have not discovered yet." Doyen has suspected this, of course. The silver hair, the pointed ears, the violet eyes. None of these were human features. But hearing her say it out loud made it real. "You are an alien," he said. "Yes. And you came through that. That portal thing?" "Yes. The device you activated sent a signal across space. It opened a gateway between your world and mine. I was running from the hunters when I found the gateway. I did not know where it would take me. I just knew I had to escape." Doyen sat back, trying to process all of this. An alien in his bedroom. On Earth, it was like something from a dream or a movie. "The hunters," he said. "Who are they? Why are they chasing you?" Lyra's face grew dark with pain and fear. "They are called the Void Seekers. They hunt people like me, people who have certain abilities. They capture us and sell us to powerful beings across the galaxy. I have been running from them for many years." She looked at Doyen with desperate eyes. "Please," she said. "I know I am asking much, but can I stay here just for a little while? I need time to heal, time to figure out what to do next. I promise I will not cause you trouble, and I will leave as soon as I can." Doyen looked at this strange girl from another world. She was scared and hurt and alone. She had no one else to turn to. How could he say no? "You can stay," he said, "for as long as you need." The relief on Lyra's face was overwhelming. Tears began to fall from her violet eyes, leaving silver trails on her pale cheeks. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you, Doyen of Earth. I will never forget your kindness." Outside, the rain continued to fall. The thunder rumbled in the distance. And in a small apartment in Seoul, a human and an alien sat together, beginning a story that would shake the stars.